Well, our January break is just about over. And I figured we'd start off the new year with a look back at the top 5 videos that you guys watched the most. Let's get started. The railroad is normally a pretty safe method of transportation, but sometimes, usually when you least expect it, things can go horribly wrong. And when things do go wrong, it is the local first responders who answer the call. Norfolk Southern's Operation Awareness and Response Hazmat Training Train is spending several days here in Altoona at the Rose Yard, and firefighters and emergency personnel from all around the region are taking advantage of the classroom and hands-on training provided by the railroad. You know, the best way to support the channel is to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, if you'd like to support my caffeine habit, there's a link in the description to our Buy Me a Coffee page. While they train, yard traffic continues, and routine mainline activity like this eastbound crew change provide the backdrop of normal conditions. But normal conditions aren't the purpose of this train. They consist of 3 demonstration tank cars, 2 classroom cars, and cars with working models of various valves and other equipment they may encounter, gives them hands-on experience in a controlled, safe environment, so it is familiar to them in an actual emergency. October brings 2 things: the peak of fall color in the Northeast and Halloween. Autumn is the haunting season. We're going to take advantage of a little downtime while we're here to look at some haunted locations around the Altoona, Pennsylvania area. No, we're not going ghost hunting. For some reason, apparently ghosts are only active at night. We're going to take a daylight view of the locations and fill you in on the stories. The actual ghost hunt? Well, that's up to you. One of the better-known stories is the haunted wedding dress that used to be on display here in Baker Mansion. The mansion was built as the home of Elias Baker, an area ironmaster. It is now a museum for the Blair County Historical Society and is open for tours. Reports of apparitions and strange sounds and screams from the ice cellar have been reported. There's also a female figure in white reported in and near Anna's room, and multiple sightings of a woman in black at various locations in the mansion. The Railroad Museum is another well-known haunt. The building had been the Master Mechanics building of the Pennsylvania Railroad Altoona shops, and apparently at one time was the location of the Railroad Police Headquarters and the infirmary. The Atlantic Paranormal Society investigated the building in the first season of the television show Ghost Hunters. One of the most often seen spirits is a friendly, almost cantankerous ghost named Frank. The apparition has been identified in a photo of a shop crew in the museum collection. Another site in Altoona investigated on Ghost Hunters is the Mishler Theater. Built by Isaac Mishler in 1907, the theater took advantage of Altoona's location on the PRR main line and played host to many big-name performers on the vaudeville circuit. You can still attend a performance in this grand theater and maybe even catch a whiff of Isaac's cigar as he enjoys the show beside you. When you're in the mountains, you can bet not far away is a highway tragedy ghost story. The Altoona area is no exception. Basic premise is that a lady in white, often with a candle or lantern, is seen alongside the mountain road. She is searching according to some of the legends, for her baby who was thrown from her carriage while rounding the curve known as Devil's Elbow. Whether it's the Lady in White on Wapsie or the White Lady of the Buckhorn, my best advice, if you travel these roads at night, don't pick up any hitchhikers. You know, when we think about oil wells, we probably think a lot about Texas, Oklahoma, maybe Alaska. Right now, we're standing on top of the first billion-dollar oil field in the United States, right here in northern Pennsylvania. Come on along. We're going to check out the Bradford Oil Museum and get that story. Anyway, oil was discovered here in the Bradford field in 1865. And you may or may not know, or you probably do, that oil was discovered, period, in Titusville, PA in 1859. So once they discovered oil there, everybody in this part of Pennsylvania was looking for oil too. And we were drilling here as early as 1861. However, we didn't have any information other than the depth of the wells in Titusville, and their wells, turns out, were much shallower than ours. So we took about 6 years before we finally drilled down deep enough to hit the oil. We're here in Bradford in the valley. If you're going to drill a well right here at our feet, it would be down 1,100 or so feet. So once they hit the oil here, then it was game on. Our boom started. What it is an early steam-powered horse-drawn fire engine. It's not really in here because of what it is, but because of the role it played in local oil history. So in the early days of Bradford Oil, the only refineries that existed were way out on the East Coast, Bayonne, New Jersey, New York City, Philadelphia, and all the oil had to ship, usually by rail, and usually on a rail car that John D. Rockefeller owned, out to his refineries and get refined and then ship all the way back here. Thousands of wells, and it cost too much for the oil companies to leave one man at each well. So this powerhouse system came about. I have an aerial photo here. I don't know if you can see it on your camera. That's the building in the middle. It had a big horizontal natural gas engine, what they call a hit and miss engine, some people do. And it ran a mechanism that pulled all these steel rods. All these lines that went out went to a different well. This allowed one man to pump about 30 wells through his shift during the day. And this is a working model. It's pretty representative of how they worked, and it's got some sound effects with it. So I'll turn it on for you. You're kind of focused on it there. That's what they sounded like. You got a picture of dozens and dozens of those running with all that sound on the hills around. So we're pretty proud of this unit. This is one of the few surviving nitroglycerin horse and buggy setups that we know of. And
using that term surviving with nitro is...
Yeah. So obviously you already were kind of informed earlier that one drop of this would blow your head off. So this is a 10-quart can, which was a standard way to store and haul this nitroglycerin. This 10-quart can, if I dropped it, was full of nitro, would destroy this museum and everything within 1/8 of a mile here. And this guy's sitting on 16 of these cans going down these rough dirt roads with these steel wheels on this buggy.
Yeah.
And of course, if there was a rock in the grass he didn't see or a hole, it was goodbye. And there's several hollows around here that are named Glycerin Hollow because there's still a 40-foot crater in the ground where this buggy blew up.
Give me a chainsaw, I'll make firewood. Give these folks a chainsaw, they'll make art. Well, we're at the 2024 edition of the Chainsaw Carvers Rendezvous here in Ridgeway, Pennsylvania. Each year, carvers from all around the world descend on this small north central Pennsylvania town to show off their talent. Let's go check out some of the art. Hey, if you're going to come, you may want to bring a truck. With spring just around the corner, I thought we'd take a look back at some of the best of steam locomotives.